For today's comparison review, subscriber and Instagrammer Alex Knifebox thought it might be a good idea to trust me with his $675 Demko Knives AD-15 because he always knows I treat expensive knives with the utmost of respect. I haven't even dropped it yet, so I think I'm doing pretty well. Alex's Instagram features much fancier knives than mine, so go follow him now for a better social media knife experience. And if you don't, you're killing your father, Larry. Thanks to him, today's wise use of your time is a comparison of the OG AD-15 and the CS AD-15. Now, if you watch the new AD-15 and the AD-15 promo video from Cold Steel, you've noticed first, not a single pig is slashed, and second, that this knife is nearly an exact proportional reproduction of the baller Demko Midtech, because Lynn personally disassembled it, traced every single part, and hand-milled all the components, even the screws. Demko Knives, Andrew Demko is most famous from Cold Steel's Our Lock Bang Your Lock's girlfriend lock tests on YouTube. Sorry. I mean, he designs knives and is the inventor of the triad lock, which is impressive because I've never invented anything, not even a decent diarrhea joke. But before we go any further, let's look at these two side by side and compare the dimensions, like the overall length and weight. In case you're having trouble identifying the Cold Steel version, you can pick it out by one of its first noticeable improvements. Of course, the words Cold Steel written on the blade. Blade size and cutting edge. There had also been a few complaints that some owners had been forgetting what blade steel their Demko used, because it was packed away in a Pelican case, so they improved that too. Handle sizes and grip areas. They also added more aggressive ribbing to the scales, so there's that. Spine thickness and handle thickness. You don't want to forget you have a knife in your hand because, good knives are supposed to hurt. And now your tallness. Is single tallness? I don't know. So the original knife is the Demko Knives AD-15. There are full custom versions that cost over $1,000 with hand-ground blades, or you can opt for the Peasants MG AD-15, which starts at $675. MG stands for machine ground, but don't worry, they still have a hand-finished edge. As Andrew says in the video, he has machines in his garage that cost more than his first house. Now, I've never owned a house, so I'll have to take his word for it, but they sound real nice. Let's examine the blade first. Bolt are ground from Steel Premium last time I checked on the internet, S35VN. S35VN is a stainless steel that has pretty good toughness and edge retention. The Demko has a stone wash finish and the Cold Steel has a two-way brushed finish. Both blades are nearly identical with the exception of a few minor things. First, if you're holding both, you'll notice the chamfering, the jimping on the blade spine, and the section of the tang that's exposed in the finger pivot area will be known as your first hotspots on the Cold Steel version. It does not have the comfortable edges that the custom Demko has, or the Midtech, sorry. So expect more of discomfort on the Cold Steel when fidgeting, or, in theory, using the knife. Also, the Demko is lamer because it's free from branding, and also the thumb stud uses a star key to remove instead of the flathead on the Cold Steel. Now deployment and lockup. Both of the knives feature the Scorpion lock, which is fun to fidget with, but challenging. Oh yeah, you'll get cut. Basically, use a thumb stud to deploy, then lift the lock to disengage. It is safest and least cool if you use both hands to close. Lift the lock, push the blade back, like your grandpa. However, most self-described internet knife assholes won't be satisfied until they can do it one-handed like a badass. The same sorts of dudes who post below your YouTube videos that you're using your knife wrong. I personally had to watch the Cold Steel video and practice it slowly for several boring minutes to get it sort of down. Andrew's really good at it, I'm not. However, you need to watch finger placement when closing so you don't shear off finger meat. The lock pivots on a screw near the rear of the handle. The lock on the Demko is made from two pinned pieces of slightly heavier titanium, and the Cold Steel uses one single piece of lighter aluminum. Considering, of course, that titanium is slightly heavier than aluminum but lighter than stainless steel, I have a guess on how these knives weigh exactly the same. The liners on the Demko are titanium versus the Cold Steel's stainless steel liners. So the Cold Steel trades weight from one area to another, much like myself has in the past 6 or 7 years. The Demko is slightly smoother and you don't have to hit the thumb studs quite as hard to deploy. One might attribute it to having been broken in by Alex, but he made social media knife bros proud and told me he only carried it 5 times maybe. How are you going to resell it if you use it, huh? You can't really get the blade to deploy easily by just flinging it downward. The blade bounces out slightly but pops back in, so I guess you can't use it as a gravity knife. The handle, good size. The grip area fits my hand well. I wouldn't call it overly large, but I don't have to crowd my fingers. Speaking as a 6 foot tall guy with average size hands, of course. The G10 scales on the Demko provide texture. They're not smooth, but they're not anywhere near as tough as the "what the hell are you looking at, boy?" Cold Steel's G10 scales. Demko Knives offers all sorts of textures and materials for the scales, and Cold Steel says you can have any variety as long as you choose OD green, just like in the pictures, and you want to be punched by Lynn. Expect the G10 to chew up the interior of your pocket and wear on your fragile palm and fingers as you use it. I'd say you're a little girl, but as a father of a small girl, she whoops my ass every single day. She's the Cold Steel of little girls. Pocket clip, it's strong and holds the pocket well, and again with the combination of the pocket clip and the G10, it ain't going nowhere. It's a touch stronger than I like, but no one asked me what I like. Both clips on both knives seem to be interchangeable and equally rigid, or hard or erect. It's not quite as unforgiving, though, as the clip on my Spartan, which tells me to fuck off every time I try to put it in my pocket or remove it. It's flippable to the right or left side of the knife in a tip-up configuration only. Comparisons. This section is a little light because I have most of my collection packed away. First up, both the knives, and then we'll just stick to the Cold Steel. Now, to the average person, these knives are nearly identical in form and function. Knife bros will be able to tell the difference, of course. One will set you back like it did me $150, and the other one nearly $700 like it will you or Alex. You get more refinement out of the Demko, but it's a hard argument at 4.5 times the price. One might round some edges on the Cold Steel and call it a day because you're not a real man anyway. I personally like the Demko a bit more, but in no way would I ever buy it now that I have the Cold Steel, or vice versa, unless you wanted to get your investment back. Hey, remember guys, knives are an investment. The Spartan. The Spartan is a tougher knife to like for the less tactical minds like myself. And by the way, I looked up a tactical mind and it has yet to be taken as a channel name on YouTube, so get on it, dudes. The Spartan's bigger and heavier, and I don't know if you get any more performance out of it other than the psychological aspect of skull fucking the fear out of your opponent performance. The triad lock is stronger. Andrew Demko says as much in the video, who of course, remember, designed both. However, I wouldn't say it's harder or easier to close than the Scorpion lock found on the AD-15, you know, the triad versus the Scorpion lock. They're just different. All right, a smaller knife. How about the Benchmade Mini Onslaught? Oh, okay. Too soon. Please, spare me. Okay, how about the Cold Steel Fin Wolf instead? I don't know much about this knife other than it's a knife and it's in my hand here. Someone just gave it to me and a few other cheap Cold Steels, so now I have more Cold Steels. I might review it at some point, but I don't want everyone to think I have a weird obsession with Cold Steel. It's not like I have one of those creepy Jesus-style paintings your grandparents have in their house, but in the likeness of Lynn hanging above my fireplace, okay? So just leave me alone. And let's wrap it up, too. I think from an everyday carry perspective, my favorite Cold Steel has been the Code 4. Okay, you know what? Yeah, it has. That doesn't mean it's the best Cold Steel knife ever, or your favorite. It just means it's nearly impossible to review every Cold Steel knife. Although eventually it's a really lame life goal for me. It wasn't too heavy, fit in the pocket nicely, and looked real good. However, I do like the Cold Steel AD-15, even if it's not a blade for everyone. It's handsome, has a unique design, and I would surmise it's capable of taking a lot of abuse. I wish I could baton with it. You know, it pains me that I can't. I mean, emotionally, I'm in the right place to baton, but not physically because I don't live in my own place yet. But maybe it's best if I didn't, to give the batoning a break for a little while. The AD-15 is a little too heavy for everyday carry for me. A great weekend knife like the Benchmade Crooked River, or even the similar Lion Steel SR11, you know, similar sized, by the way. Both, of course, packed away. If you don't mind heavier knives, then who gives a shit, okay? Buy it. It has a great solid hand feel, even if some of the spine jimping and the scales are a little owie. Anyway, again, big thanks to Alex. You can thank him by subscribing to his much better than my knife-based Instagram feed. The link is below. Please do it. If you want to support this channel, pre-order or buy the knife through my Blade HQ link below. Or maybe think about donating to my Patreon a few bucks a month. Also, I've bought a new mic setup with this, and this is the first video I've used it on. And I've had to record this several times because I can't get my gain structure and my mic distance from my mouth right. But if all goes right, hopefully I sound sexier. By the way, buying through my links and watching my videos helps me afford better gear and $150 knives to review. And maybe one day I'll be a real man with the YouTube channel. Yeah, fuck. Alright, that sounds gross. Subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, give the video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.